Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kickback, man. I got a very special guest today, and this is one of my partners from way back, man. Like, I've known this man now for over 10 years, bro. This is crazy,
years, man. Almost 15.
Like, man, that is wild.
15 years, man.
Man, this is one of my partners in crime from my UNC Charlotte days, man. Like, I remember when these boys first got to campus, man. They came in, was always motivated, man. And some people, man, you just honestly don't worry about in life because you know they gonna go out and get it regardless, man. So we like to welcome Calvin Cleveland to the show.
Yeah, man. Very, very happy to be here today.
Absolutely. Real estate mogul, bank professional, socialite from first class to, I mean, everything he do, man, he put his hands on it, it turns to gold, man. So I just want to, first say thank you to this man for joining the platform today, and hopefully we can get into something that's gonna help somebody, man. Man,
really appreciate it. Been thinking about this and definitely excited to get in front of you guys and contribute to Boardroom anywhere I can.
Absolutely, man. So, man, let's just get right into it, man. First and foremost, bro, like, I reeled off some of the things that you've been able to obtain in life, some of the things that you've been able to do. Let's just start here, man. Who is Calvin Cleveland, and what got you to this place that you're at in your life right now?
Beautiful, man. Calvin Cleveland, I would say, is just kind of a little bit of a rebel, if you will.
Okay.
Like a rebel from a positive standpoint.
That's
he's
good.
Someone who definitely goes against the status quo. And when he hears something or someone telling him that he can't do something, he takes it more of a challenge.
I think it's a leadership quality to make good trouble, man.
Absolutely.
Like, making good trouble is definitely a leadership quality. So I reinforce that definitely.
And I think throughout college, like you talked about UNCC days, like I just think when we came into UNCC, I started realizing that they still have it set up for us, like meet with advisors and things like how like you got walked through in high school. In college, I was like, man, you should be able to kind of do what everybody's not at the same level. You have to approach people differently. So what I decided was like, I'm just going to go against the status quo, and I'm just going to, whatever I think is right or whatever I think is for the best, as long as I'm putting it back, to the community and everything like that.
Right.
I'm just going to keep pushing myself. So Calvin is a grinder, first and foremost.
Yeah, that's a fact.
He's a family man, definitely always thinks about his family. His family is the fuel of his fire. But he's someone who, most importantly, whenever it gets the opportunity, he wants to give back. He wants to reach back out to, and he wants to see all his homie come up. Like, he doesn't want to eat by himself. He doesn't think that that's the way you should eat. And I love, like, I can't get more excited than like eating with my homies or doing things like this with friends.
That's
like,
real.
That's what drives me, man. So that's Calvin Cleveland. He's just an investor who, is a big time dreamer, man.
Right.
And just hoping no dream is too big. Is his definition of kind of what I live by.
So I mean, and we can go a lot of different places from that. You talk about your investing, you talk about the ambition, the family. Like, coming in as a young man, as soon as you touch base in college, and you have the ambition to do certain things, like, how do you navigate from there to when you get a job after college to then moving into entrepreneurship? Like, how does that journey actually look, and like what kind of pushed you into a lot of those places?
Well, it's weird because it's funny enough, we're kind of in a similar time now as we were in 2009 when I was like kind of wrapping up school. So when I was wrapping up school, there was a lot of uncertainty, and we had always been told, I don't remember some of the depressions and things like that that happened back in the day, but you throw us into 08 and 09 while we're in prime time college.
Absolutely.
We're hearing about the real estate market falling apart. We're getting to that in here in a second. We're hearing about, hey, there's no job. So I was in school as a junior, about to try to graduate college, and kind of looked at my perspective and said, man, I don't know if I'll have a job here in a few months.
For sure.
Everybody's telling me don't invest in anything right now because everything has went to shreds.
Right.
And I didn't know anything. So I spent like that last year of college really researching and decided to continue my education. So like the best thing I could do in 2009 was to go back to school and use that time because I didn't have the opportunities right there in front of me. And then it's just kind of flowed. You just ask like, what out of college, where did it go? It just kind of flowed. I still was in school. God set it up to on my last semester of grad school. So I've been in school for 3 more semesters additional to college. He sets it up for the job, and then that flowed because I was already used to like doing fraternity things and other things around college.
Right. And then this is a Kappa man, by the way.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna throw up signs in the video, but yeah, man, I was so used to it. I told myself I don't want to get out of. I think when we become adults, we get out of the mindset that we were used to going to class. We were used to meeting each other in Collegiate 100, which is a group me and Ben were involved in college. But it's just multiple things. You're used to always going. And we get out of school, it's like, whew, you just want to take a breath of fresh air.
And you kind of want to just sit back and pause. But yeah, you're right. If you pause, you kind of get used to that pause and don't live in that uncomfortable phase, man. So I agree 1000% with that. Like, even with me, like, to your point, coming out of college, like, my journey was a little different because, and it's crazy the time that a year makes, right? Because I graduated a year earlier, but that was right in between.
You're out in 08.
Yeah, it's like,
so 08, yeah, 08 is beautiful.
It's like, yeah, but the next year it was like, boom, everything went down. And I'm looking back, like, the same program I went into, they went from having 300 jobs in the program to like 50. You know what I mean? So banks were cutting off, like, opportunities were just kind of shrinking up. But to your point, and that's a 7 key pillar of focus here, is education. You know what I mean? It sounds like you did the research to say, hey, you know what I mean, this is the landscape right now, since the opportunities aren't quote unquote on the table as they once were 365 days ago. Let me still better myself.
Absolutely, because I took the mindset of the corporate America is looking that now you have more people applying for less positions.
Absolutely.
So it's more competition, as you said. What can I do to better myself or put myself in a different position? So the GPA in college, and this is just my preference, I want to be as honest as possible. The GPA in college, it always was told me, like, man, we got to grind to get this 4.0, we got to get this 4.0. But like my last years, everybody's like, well, what about your experience? What about the internships? What about, you know, what did you do this summer? And I was like, man, I done grinded through school, but didn't have internships there to show for it. And then the hours are like, you know, the GPA suddenly kind of disappears when everybody's getting fired.
That's a great point.
So grad school was the move. And it's funny is because grad school, one of the other reasons why I did it is because they said, oh, your GPA resets. And I said, well, you know what? You know, I got a decent undergrad GPA, but I'm a really focused, man. I was older, I was a little bit more mature.
Right.
Yeah, you're not coming in at 18, you're coming in at 22, you know, and
you know how to study.
You know how to study. You're used to it, and I just didn't want to hit that stop button, like we said. I didn't want to go into corporate America and become an 8-hour guy when I was used to being a 12 to 15-hour focus with the school, working, all those things. I wanted to make sure I was getting the most out of myself.
I don't want to gloss over something you just said, though. Even though internship wasn't your path, I do want to focus in on that because it's so important, right? I think experiencing getting it as early as possible helps separate yourself from competition.
Absolutely.
Me myself, I didn't have an internship, but I actually had a full-time job that was in customer service. You know, so even though it wasn't the dream investment banking job that I wanted, it was a foot in the door. Like, if you can get in the door, you can meet people, you know, put yourself on calendars for either managers or just people in the bank. Like, you don't know who you can meet that'll take you to that next level. Or even when you go to the interview, again, it separates yourself because they know that you have certain qualities that it takes to succeed.
Absolutely.
So you know, you go through college, you get your MBA, you graduate with your MBA. What's next?
So that last semester of grad school, you know, I had started at Bank of America. So it's funny because I'm working uptown at Bank of America in the same building as you worked at the time. We used to definitely, like, you know, rock out and hang out a little bit. But after that, as soon as work would be over at 5 o'clock, I'm being at class at 5:30. And we uptown, UNC Charlotte, they have a new beautiful MBA center.
Yeah,
this is the 2 years in between now. They didn't have this building. I was in the art museum taking classes. But I just found myself just never having time. It was like work and then school, and I just got used to that grind, man. And then that opened up, like, you know what? I'm not really having the most fun right now, but I'm seeing things like savings, I'm seeing investments and stuff like that. I'm having the opportunity to put myself in positions that I didn't think I could be at even a year before. And that circulates into, you know, my last semester of grad school, about to graduate in June. You know, that last semester was completely house saving, and I was able to buy a crib that last semester of grad school. So it kind of jumped me into home ownership, and we're gonna get into real estate a little later. But it also was a great opportunity because I remember, and I might be all over the place a little bit.
No, you're good. I'm taking some notes in my head because I want to touch on some things that you're saying.
I remember coming out of grad school and telling my mom, it's like, Mom, listen, like, I'm graduating in 3 or 4 months. I've been saving my bread. I think I'm gonna buy this crib. It's a foreclosure. It's the time is right. And my mother, and I'm serious, like, she's gonna see this later and be like, but she didn't talk to me for 3 days, man. Because that's another thing. I think too with our generation, if I can speak to younger people, it's important to listen.
Yeah.
But it's important to do your own research to make educated decisions. My mother did not talk to me for 3 days when I was like, I'm gonna buy this crib, and that's because of what she knew. Cribs that just went into foreclosures, like we were in the downpour because of real estate. And I said, Mom, well, if it did this, what is it gonna do next? You know, it's gotta do this. I bought a crib in 2011, and that, like, little did I know that was going to start everything. God was setting it up before I even knew, man. But,
so was this a crib to invest in or your crib to live in?
To live in, yeah. This is a foreclosure. I remember going to look at it. It was in a cul-de-sac, man. You can't find this in Charlotte anymore, pretty much anywhere. But it was a cul-de-sac of 15 houses and 2 were lived in. And I was like, oh my God, is it that easy to buy a house? Like, you could not, it wasn't multiple offers. You just went out there and I said, I think I want this one. Let me wait a week and then decide if I still want it.
But now this was an era though, man. The time that you're talking, man, this is the time that, you know, I bought my first crib too. Like the government was giving money away for people to go buy cribs. Like honestly, I got $8,000 back as a tax write-off, like just for being in position. And we're probably going to say that a lot today because I see that as a common theme in a lot of what you're saying, being in position to buy a crib. And let's touch on this because I think that's a very good point, right? Oftentimes, man, you hear about, you know, people wanting to invest. It's like, you know, oh, I got a little extra money. I want to get some stock. I want to get this. I want to get that. You know, I want to get a rental property. I think the misconception oftentimes is that you have to have a rental property to be invested. Like, to just home ownership is real estate investing. Like, it's a form of it. And I think it's one that we have to really start to focus in on because you have to live somewhere.
Absolutely.
Like, so paying rent or paying mortgage that's going to give you tax write-offs, you're going to get all types of tax benefits. You're going to build up equity in a home. And if you can get it paid off, now you can eradicate the bill because your home is paid off and you can just stack all that money that you were once paying for rent or whatever the case may be. So talk about that a little bit of just the perception between investing in real estate versus home ownership.
Oh my goodness. So then I want to blow this, you know, it's a perfect transition because I would say 95% of my clientele 30 and under, and that's who we're speaking to. That's who really matters right here. The next generation. Wait too long to contact me, and it's because of one, they've heard things from friends and things that are just untrue and myths in real estate. It's a lot of myths in real estate first and foremost. The second thing is they don't know the order. They don't know how much money they need. They don't know the steps. And a lot of people do see, like, I flip homes for a living. I get a lot of messages saying, Cal, I want to flip next week. Like, I'm ready to do whatever I need to do to flip.
It's the sexy thing, right? It's sexy. People are like, oh, I took this rundown crib and made it this masterpiece. And you watch all these shows on TVs.
These shows on TVs make it look really easy, Ben. But I tell people, and again, this isn't dream deflating because I'm a big dream chaser and I absolutely 100% believe in you know, putting into people's dreams and letting them marinate. But the first thing is you got to get you a crib. You know, you got to get you a crib because the crib, you're buying it at such a lower interest rate. You're bringing less to the table. So in a crib, you can be bringing 3% on an FHA or 5% on a conventional loan. If you want a rental property, you're bringing 20%. So, you know, for a $100,000 rental property, you're having to have $20,000 to the table. Not to say that the viewers don't, but that scares a lot of people.
I agree.
Know? That's like, you know, oh, I got to have $20,000. I never can do this. But you could have had that crib and maybe you're renting rooms out if you're single. That's what I did. Like
house hack.
First house I had, all my homies, all the frat was staying in there. And there, you know, we all waited.
But you own it. You're getting the equity. Like, you're building your credit.
Absolutely.
That's something we're going to be talking about next episode. I have a gentleman that's coming in to specifically talk credit. But like, it's some benefits in house hacking.
Absolutely.
You know, like,
absolutely. And then too, your homie who's staying in the room next door, in rent in Charlotte right now, their one bedroom is $1,100. They're paying you $400 because you're taking your mortgage and splitting it divided by 4.
So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. You saving money because you ain't got to pay all the extra, and I'm getting money on the other side because I know I can pay my mortgage. You know what I mean? I don't have to pay the whole thing by myself. And like, again, it continues to build your credit, man. That's beautiful.
I wanted to add this one last piece. I like another, because I know we're speaking to young married couples and or couples who are getting ready to be married, or fiancés, or you're dating someone seriously you've been with for a couple years. You're thinking about that next stage. Another thing I tell you of not jumping and getting into flips and rentals before we get into home ownership is because if you and your I'm not even going to say fiance, but you and your girlfriend at the time, you both are thinking about these dream homes, you're getting married, and you automatically think the first step is we're going to get married, we're going to go look for this house. As soon as you do that, if y'all had y'all's means together, you just threw your rental property out the door. And I say that to say, if you guys both buy houses individually, you know that she's the one, Ben, and we're getting married in a year, Ben. Because it used to be with our parents, like they propose, they get married next week. Like with us, we need a year, maybe even 2. You got to do all that,
right, etc., etc. Yeah.
But you know this is the one. I tell my clients, man, y'all both go get cribs. Y'all both bring 5% to the table.
That was our scenario.
100. Oh, that was just actually you lived that. You lived through it. Yeah. $200,000 crib. With you bringing 5%, which is $10,000. Your fiance is bringing 5%, which is $10,000. And for the people, as long as you have not been married, it could be the day before you get married. You can close on that crib and bring 5%. And then as soon as you get married, y'all move into one of the houses, and you've locked crib 2 in for 30 years at a rate that's for personal, use. Because as soon as you turn into a rental, they're going to charge you more. As soon as you turn it to a flip and you go to sell it, you're paying more taxes. So people don't ask the tax questions and stuff like that. I'm not an accountant. Definitely want you to reach out to it, but
for sure,
it's definitely something important to not put things in front of other. And home ownership, I feel like, is number one, and then we feed into the real estate things that bring us passive income.
I like it because, again, man, I'm really big on home ownership, man. Like, you have to start somewhere. And I think one of the things you said earlier too kind of stood out to me as well, because you were grinding so hard that you were saving money in the process. And part of that is probably because you didn't have the extra time to go out and spend money.
You can't. You don't.
So now, not only are you making yourself better mentally and preparing yourself for stuff that's coming down the pipeline, but you're saving money in the process. A lot of people can't get to the point of having that money for a down payment because they're always wanting to go here to buy whatever table or whatever the case may be, which I'm not down there. I've been through my tables phases. I done been there, done all that. However, you got to make sure you prioritize, right? You know what I mean? Take always something off the top. Pay yourself first. That is a rich dad, poor dad principle that I practice to anybody. Before you even pay your bills, pay God first. I'm a tither. Pay God, then pay yourself, and then pay your bills. Like, you have to find ways to save. Trick yourself, do whatever it is, and if you're not making enough to where you can save, find a hustle. You got to do something on the side to bring in some more income. Because if you're not saving money to go get that first property, that is where wealth starts. It starts with that first property.
And then, just a small piggyback on top of that, when we're buying that first property, we have options. We can turn this into a rental in our own heads. It's just it's not a rental on paper. If we have a sister, brother, cousin, friend who wants to move in and is willing to come in and pay that rent, we already have a rental property within our own house, and we feel more comfortable with them as a renter because we know them personally. Now, it does create.
I understand. I know
you gotta watch your family and how things close. Rent's late because that's your brother.
They feel that comfortable with
that comfortable there, but it's still better than rent being late. You go to your crib to check on it, and the house is tore up.
That's the beautiful part. Being able to just pop up and be like, "Hey, man, what's up? Why y'all letting these lights go dead?"
Exactly.
Or what's up with my backsplash, or whatever the case may be. But you can check on it, just make sure the property is staying up to date. Now, this is good stuff, man. I'm really enjoying this conversation, bro. So you come out of college, you get your first crib, and things are starting to flourish for you. Like, what's next?
This is being honest. I took life so serious, and this is important about purpose, because although I grinded through college, I graduated at 22, so from grad school, so I pretty much did like 5 years of school in 4 years, and did summer school every summer to get there. Great, it's a great story, but what it did, I found myself at 22 really burnt out. Feeling like I wasted all my fun times away. My friends are all still in Charlotte, and I'm going to work. Nobody's working yet, and I just felt like, man, I kind of want to be a kid again. So what I did and what I've learned to do more is I took like a mental break, man. I really kind of hung out a little bit. I kind of didn't put those pressures on myself. When I got out of school, I burned all my old notes, and I said, you know what, I'm I don't want to get that serious. What happened was we developed, it took 2 months for me not doing nothing, and we started a clothing line just because we had extra time. And I wanted
shout out to FOS.
Yeah, hey, appreciate it. Ben has definitely purchased product. I got his product on me right now, cross branding for sure.
You got to support black, man.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, I'm a firm believer. Like that's what this is about at Boardroom, man. All the resources, everything that I'm trying to put together here. We want to make sure that we build a network within our community for sure.
But to your point, as soon as I did it, went and got 3 roommates, and now I have a rental, even though it's not.
And
a rental.
you're having fun because
I'm having the time of my life. Walking in, the frats in there, we're having parties. We're doing way too much. But I hit a point because that got stagnant. You know, I was having too much fun, but now I'm not grinding no more. I'm kind of, I'm too loose, and got it back together. And what that turned into is saying, I just made a decision one day. I said, man, you know, being 3 years in this house, it was considered a party house. Right. A lot of people that came through and showed a lot of love, but I knew where I was going professionally, and I said, man, I got to kind of, you know, put a little bit more distance between me and, you know, some of the college things that I had going on. Right. So it was turning that. That's when I called a realtor. They had no idea what I was doing, Ben. Right. I said, you know what, I just want to, you know, maybe move and get away from this direct university area. I feel like when you're really close to where you went to college
it's easy to make a play.
You go in here and see there, and now you're drinking with somebody in the bar.
It's easy to make a play.
But what that turned into is he told me, man, look, we bought that house in 2011. This is what it's worth in 2014, and I was mind blown. I ain't never seen $2,000-$3,000 on the account, and you equity, appreciation. You know?
And for those that don't know, explain equity, like the process of equity and how one accumulates it.
Absolutely. So when you buy your house, if you buy your house for what it's worth, let's say you bought it for $200,000, it is worth $200,000. How do we figure out what it's worth? Realtors like me can run comparisons for other homes that are similar to yours and make sure you're not overpaying or underpaying for that home. Well, you want to always underpay, but it just doesn't happen in a real busy market. But equity is when we're walking into that home paying $200,000 for it. In 2 years from now, people are paying $230,000 for the same home. Well, we have $30,000 of equity into our property. This is something that we can't see. It's a fake number. You know you have it. You want to watch how you spend it because it can go, and it's a market. It goes up and down. But we've seen a lot of ups, Ben, since we bought our home in 2011. A lot of ups in equity. But appreciation, right? The equity is the money of what that home is worth to what you owe on it. The difference is that equity. But how we got to it being worth 230 from it being worth 200 is that appreciation. And so when you're buying that property, as Ben said, and you're putting yourself in, you're not only paying down the money, you're not owing $200,000 on it in 2 years. You've been paying every month. You have a mortgage payment. And some of that is going toward the principal of your home. We can get really deep into that. But ultimately, your $200,000 house might only cost you $100,000. You only owe $190,000 in 2 years. So you've built $10,000 of equity yourself, just paying out of your money. That doesn't go to nobody else. You deserve that because it was your money you worked hard for. But on top of that, God's blessed you in the background because look, the home's appreciated $30,000. You've made $30,000 and you did nothing but wake up every day
because of the market, because of inflation, but like value is based off what people are willing to pay for. That's why it goes from 200 to 230. Because you know when someone comes in and be like, "Hey, I'll pay 205 for that." 2 years later, someone, you know, inflation done went up, your money holds a little less value. They'll say, you know what, I'll pay 210 for it. And it just gradually increases over time. As long as you're buying in the right market and in the right communities, you're going to usually always see some type of equity on your home. Now, to his point, if you have a loan on it and you're paying it down, what ends up happening is you owe $190 on the loan, but your crib's now worth $230. That's $40,000 gap that you will be able to put in your pocket if you sold that home today.
Absolutely. Outside of fees, and we can talk about fees and things like that. But yes, that's the principle. That's the principle. And how long would it take for a working man to save that kind of money?
$40,000.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not saving that in a few weeks. We're not saving that in a few months. You know, I mean,
for the common man.
For the common man. For the common man. It's millionaires out there who can't do that. That's not what we're talking about.
They make that in an hour, right?
Absolutely. But we're not there yet, and we put in hope we will be there one day.
For sure.
But it's one of the most important because I've seen friends who are making $40,000 on a bag, Ben. And they don't never have more than $3,000 in their account, but they're sitting here looking up at a home they bought for $100,000 and selling for $150 now. And it's 5 years ago. You know, they don't even know what to do with $40,000. But that's the thing. We have to have conversations like this. So there is a step 2 to this. They can take that 40 and put it to play.
And the thing about that 40, and we can probably get, this is the perfect segue for you. What I call the equity in a home is the power play. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to touch it for, you know, buying clothes or taking out a home equity line of credit for miscellaneous things that are going to depreciate.
Right.
You want to wait a perfect timing to take that 40 and use it as a power play. Like if you need 40 grand to invest in a business, you need 40 grand to buy another home because now you got kids or a wife and she wants a bigger place. That's a power play. Like a move that will set you up in a way bigger fashion later on down the line. So I mean, you want to talk about that process because I think that's where we're kind of heading.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Power play. So that's what happened to me. I sold that first house and see this money that can come there, and I won't go into numbers, but it wasn't crazy. It wasn't 40,000 in any kind of way.
Right.
But that's the thing too. I tell the viewers, you don't need 40,000 to go to that next stage in any kind of way. So here I am, just living my regular life. That money comes in from the profit, and I said, okay, how can I put this back? Number one, I said I got to put myself back in a home because the same things that had happened with my first home, I hope to repeat. You know, I hope to put renters in there. I hope it's appreciated the same way.
Absolutely.
So we bought our primary residence, and again, I think that's the most important thing you could do is buy a primary residence, so you're not wasting any money on rent. And then the second thing was with the excess funds, no tables got bought, no bottles, no clothes, no car. I took every dime of that and bought a rental property. You know, and at that time,
power play.
It was a property in the middle of the hood off of Tuckasegee. You guys can look this up. This home was worth $200,000. I bought it for $99,000. Now I sold it a year later. I didn't make the power play like I wanted to selling it now, but yeah, bought a rental property for $100,000, and a year later it was worth $130,000. Okay, so
and choices, man, choices. Because again, let's think about the mind of young Calvin at this particular point. Let's go back. You sell it, you see 40 grand in your bank account. Now I know you probably thinking, "Oh, we getting it."
Yeah. Never seen nothing like that.
We in a decent state because I mean, we come up, you know, very similar. No one has a silver spoon in their mouth. You know, good parent, good background, but you still want to set yourself up for generational wealth. You see 40 grand in your bank account. You could easily say, you know what, I'm finna go out and stun on them. I'm finna go stun on them. Let me go get the new Hellcat. Let me go get a chain on these boys and take that 40 down to 5 really quickly.
Absolutely.
But you had the foresight and the discipline to say, you know what, I'm gonna chill on the stunting for now, and I'm gonna invest it in a rental property.
And Ben, can I add this part in? Because I do think it's important to have some money aside. When you come with these come-ups, I think it should be a percentage. And I live by this. 10% whatever I make on a flip or on a profit, I am going to go blow that money. For sure. And I hate to get on here and talk and say blowing money because that's not what I want people to do.
But I want people to listen to what you just said.
What blowing is, yes.
10%. 10%. The scenario I gave was 40 going down to 5. That's way more than 10%.
Exactly. So you're taking that 40 and spending $4,000 out of that and saying, you know what, I'm going to go do whatever. I'm going to go take my wife on a trip. I'm going to go, I didn't have a wife at the time, so I'm just going to go do whatever I want to do. But I knew I allowed that passive income to pay for these things I want to do. I'm not going to go buy that bottle with this 9 to 5 job. That 9 to 5 job has to go into the next play.
That's real. So, you know, we've talked about, you know, you coming up, buying your first crib to live in, how the house had. Now I'm going to ask the question I think everybody's really wanting to know.
Okay.
Right? How do we get into house flipping? Like, what's that next stage after you bought your first property, you know, you house hacked a little bit, like the flipping stage? How does that work?
Absolutely. So, I took a slower approach to it, and I wouldn't be being authentic if I didn't really say how my real testimony with it.
Okay.
First and foremost, I wanted to flip like 4 or 5 years ago, and flipping in definition is buying a property, turning it around in 6 months, and selling that property for a profit. So that's technically a flip.
Gotcha.
One, I found out that, you know, I ran margins and did numbers, and with flipping, it's very hard to secure the financing. And if you do secure the financing, or you find the bread, you find the money, if it's not from a family member, it's a lot of banks who are not going to give you the money for a flip necessarily, okay? and or you have to bring a whole lot to the table, which you necessarily might not be.
Right, 20-25%.
20-25% is a regular case, and you're buying a flip property for $150,000 and then having to come with repair money too. What I found out was that, hey, I think I'll better take the approach of going with the bank at first. So I didn't have the money. I didn't have a whole bunch of money like that.
Or even just want to invest all your money, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
you don't want to put all your money into
people's money. Why not?
Absolutely. But the thing I found out with using other people's money is you got to be proven before they're ready to open up that account to you. So I started calling around, asking around, trying to do things like that. And my first flip wasn't a flip. I couldn't find a flip per se. I bought a property that I did find beat up. I found it on Craigslist. So you talked about, hey, what are some ways that you find those properties? This is in 2015, a little different market, but I was able to find a property in University I was very familiar with. And I had to bring the cash, and I called a few of my fraternity buddies, and we put some money together and bought it. So we didn't go through the bank, but we also bought a condo that was very, very cheap at the time. It was $60,000, just putting that number out there. I didn't have $60,000, but I was able to reach out for two guys, and we came up with $60,000 to buy this condo. That condo, Ben, is in Heatherstone. You can all check this. The light rail, things like you buy a property and you don't know what's going to happen next. They broke ground for that light rail, which goes right by UNCC, and my $60,000 property all of a sudden turned into a $90,000, $100,000 property.
Wow!
Literally in 5 or 6 months.
That's crazy.
I can give you all the address. You go check all this stuff and check it. But I say all that to say it's
a big come up too.
Man. I mean, you're sitting on it, but me and my wife had to live in it because we talked about line of credits. Okay, I'm gonna kind of go a little around and come back around a circle here.
Sure. Now take your time.
I didn't have the money to flip, but I did have some money to buy the $60,000 condo.
And how so?
Saving and using the profits from a rental property. The rental property I told you I bought from selling my first house, I then had sold that rental. I sold my second property, and then now I have money the same. Like I've sold my primary and a rental, and I took all that money and pretty much wiped my account out. No lie, I had $3 in my account. That's a real story. And put up the money to buy this condo with the business partner.
Hold on. Let's not skate over that. Cause that's good. Because I'm hearing vision in this. I'm hearing planning, and I'm also hearing like just being able to have faith.
Oh my God.
That God is going to do what He gave you at that time.
I feel God wouldn't give me the vision if He didn't want me to take the step forward. So even as I did it, like this is legit. I'm gonna just throw out the address, 8621 Coralbell, Coralbell. You can look this up and see it's a 3-bedroom condo in University. But God gave me the vision. I was like, I legit, I brought $40,000 to the table. I'll put that out there. And I had $40,000 and $3 in my account. Legit. So when I went and bought that crib, I remember telling my fiance at the time, like, yo, we're in a spot and we're saving for our wedding. And I was like, but I gotta make this play. The guy met me at Hardee's by University. It's a Hardee's. It's not there no more, by Old Charlie's. Right there across the campus. He meets me there, and he bought that crib 10 years ago. He had ran into some health issues and just wanted to let it go. And at the time, I didn't know what it was worth or anything, but I knew that a condo and that university, that close to school.
Seen the vision, you knew what was coming.
Had a vision, but didn't know it. And I mean, Ben, I can't lie. That's why I want you to go check that address later. 6 months go by, they break ground on a light rail, and I sold it. I mean, I bought it, so it became a flip. I bought it as a rental property, and I was just going to hold on to it. But when that light rail came, that home appreciated, and I think that home sold for $110,000, man.
Man, so I just want to hit some highlights there, man. It's like, number one, you have to have the ability to know, like, have a little foresight, right? Like, if you're in your community, and even if it's not Charlotte University, it could be Gastonia, it could be Lexington, it could be Greensboro, it could be Fayetteville. If you know your area and know the things that may be coming or in tune with some city council meetings, like, stuff is happening all over the city at any given time.
And this is public information.
And it's public information.
It's research, education.
Like, if you can educate yourself and just be ahead of the game, like, man, you can be in early on some really, really big wins, man. So that's a testament to you, bro. Like, just, I mean, even though you didn't know the specifics, but understanding, like, hey, the university is a hotbed right now. It's starting to blow up. Worst case scenario, you can rent it because the school is right there. Like, that just takes foresight and guts, man. So, like, man, congratulations.
Appreciate it. But yeah, just like you said, having faith in it and knowing that God wouldn't put that in your vision. You wouldn't be dreaming about that. You wouldn't be, this wouldn't be in your thoughts if it's something that he at least didn't want you to. I don't think God, everything that comes in my mind is God talking to me. I know that. So I have to really take my time and research and look at that $3 I had in my account and say, okay, man, I looked at when my next bills were due. You know, am I gonna have to borrow money from somebody to make my next bills? And I just really drew all that out, writing it down. I don't know, I write everything down, Ben. I mean, everything down. I would tell you, the viewer, to write everything down, because a lot of these thoughts get stuck in our head. We don't put them on paper, and then they go lost.
Put it by your nightstand. I got me 2 books right here.
2, okay.
I don't put this down. One of them is for my Bible scriptures. The other's just like for vision, for planning, for my business ideas. Like, I keep them separate, but I keep them together. Like, what you're saying is a real thing. Like, seriously.
And what that blew into, because, you know, this isn't a resume conversation here, but what that blew into was I wasn't flipping the property because, again, it was bought as a rental. I ended up flipping it because I ended up selling it in a 6-month period, and it worked. And I said, man, that was kind of easy. Now, granted,
you get a taste of it, like, hey,
yeah, I like it. Now, granted, I had a business partner with that who helped me get to that point. Shout out to Cam, you know,
shout out Cam
out UCC as well. My good frat brother of mine. But once that education came back and we made that profit and we split and went our other way, I said, okay, I don't want to go to because people say, how do you get the financing? You either can come up with a group of friends like that, or you can go to the bank. But even when you go to the bank, like you said, they're going to want that money. They're going to tax you for borrowing this money. You can definitely flip tomorrow if you can find a bank that's going to give you the money for less than what you're paying for the property. I mean, every flip is a deal, and depending on how sweet that deal is, it might be worth your time to go to that bank and pay really high fees.
Crunch the numbers. You gotta do your due diligence. Having your mind some stuff on like how much it may cost, rehab, so on and so forth. Any other tips like to kind of work through that process?
I would say with the flips, if you want to first approach it, maybe look at condos and townhomes. Things like, and I say that because in a condo or a townhome, you are not responsible for the exterior of that property. But with flipping, you're buying a beat up property. You don't know, half the time you walk in, air conditioning ain't working, roof ain't working. All these things are not working. You're going to be responsible for the exterior of that home too.
That's good.
You walk in, you try to there's mold under the crawl space. This has happened to me. It cost me $8,000. That's real cash. But you don't know that mold. If it molds in a townhome, you just call the people and say, hey, I got mold under here, and they're clearing it. If it molds in your house, it molds in this house right here, you're paying that money out of your pocket.
That's good.
So I didn't want, when you're first starting to flip, I focused on condo and townhomes. 1, because they were a little cheaper. And 2, because I felt like there were more buyer pool for them. I could get rid of them, and they were at lower prices than some of the
And you can rent it out probably a little
And you can rent it out a little easier. And Airbnb. I don't want to go too deep into this, but the young people who we're talking to, when me and Ben were coming out of college, Airbnb didn't exist. Airbnb, I almost tell everybody I know now, like, if you're gonna go get a rental, don't even worry about going to get a rental. Shoot for an Airbnb. I had an Airbnb. Now with COVID, it has completely wrecked the Airbnb market. But you still, with COVID, can make more money on an Airbnb monthly than a lot of your rental properties can. I mean, it is crazy when you talk about the cleaning fees. And a lot of us have booked Airbnbs. We're used to paying cleaning fees. We're used to paying. You know, when you go with your homeboys, 10 people to Vegas, you're not thinking about cleaning, you're not thinking about mechanical fees, you're not thinking about all the little things that Airbnb is taking. You're just ready to hit the button because you're about to split it with people anyway. Whereas the owner, you're getting almost all of that. You know what I mean? It was a crazy reflection to me of I'm not buying any more rentals. Airbnb is my next move.
So from a property standpoint, like Airbnb versus a ordinary rental, like which one do you think will hold up the value of the property, or I guess the exterior versus maintenance, because I mean both you can see a state where it may run down the property, but do you know if there is one that's worse than the other? I guess
I would say a renter would be more safe than Airbnb. Because I'm keeping it real to the viewers here. And my Airbnb that I had for 3 months, it was making double what I could make in a rent. And my Airbnb, I let it go. I actually sold it in April because I got ahead of things. As soon as COVID broke, I did not know how COVID would affect Airbnbs and travel and things like that. So I got out of my property, out of my position. But the thing about Airbnbs, you are having a different person in your house on a regular basis. You could set up cleaning companies and stuff like that, so you don't physically have to be there and doing those things. And the safety net there was a huge party thrown in my Airbnb. The last guest in my Airbnb, no gas, $1,000 worth of damage. They shot a music video in there. It's on Facebook. I mean, it's crazy. But Airbnb covers up to $10,000 worth of damages. So in your rental property, ain't nobody covering up to $10,000 worth of damages. It's doing your education and research, man. So even if they did mess my property up, Airbnb is gonna come out. They took me through a process, but I was legit. Everything was 100, so I ended up getting a check, and they covered all the damages that were done by the renter.
As long as your integrity is good, like it shouldn't be an issue.
Absolutely, man.
That's dope.
But Airbnb is something that's a whole different episode. I have to come back on, but it's something to look into. You're kind of like your own hotel manager. If you ever like are into those kind of things, like price gauging and just kind of like checking, things are always changing. It's just really fun to do to manage. You are managing your own thing, and it's much more profitable than a rental, man. To be honest.
See, these are the conversations I love, man. Like, I just want to say this as a side note, man. Like, you're approaching the age of 30, and you got a group of fans that don't push you and motivate you in this type of aspect, man. Like, conversations got to start changing when you hit 30, man. Like, you can't just be sitting there worried about the same stuff no more. If it's always, yo, where we going tonight, what we drinking, what we smoking, like, you got to change up your circle, man. Like, even to what you said, right? Like, having a group of friends that you can go to pool money together to invest in the property. Like, that takes the right circle to be in to have that. Because, I mean, if you can't just hit your boy up like, oh, you got 10, I got 15, I got 20, and be able to go buy a $60,000 property, like,
and you can't make that play.
You can't make that play. So, man, that's big right there, though, man.
That circle is so important, man.
For sure.
And I know I've been like around your circle for like 15 years, and like you do pick up spirits and people's personalities and everything like that. If you do have a good circle, like nothing petty. Don't let little small things get in between, because these guys are really gonna be with you at your 30s, and I hope into my 40s. I hope into my 50s. I do the same business with the same people because I know how they move, especially when you get money involved, because people act funny with money. You need to be dealing with people who you dealt with 10 years ago. You know, nothing's gonna change. You're gonna be happy for me, and I'm gonna be happy to give it back to you, opposed to trying to be my competitor or chase me, or
you know what's funny about that though, and we can kind of switch gears here because I think we've covered a lot with real estate. Just with friendships, man. Like, one thing I've noticed is that when the people around you are also getting it, it creates that energy.
It's competitive. It's a competitive industry. It's beautiful.
If you are the head of your team or the people around you and everyone else starving, that's kind of when that hate and animosity and a lot of that other stuff start to come in play, man. So it's like, again, I try not to ever be the smartest person in the room. You know what I mean? If I'm the smartest person in the room, I kind of want to start to elevate and be that person that's sitting in the corner just learning, because they doing stuff different. Like, man, I had a boy hit me up the other day just talking about like how to start owning stuff in trust and things like that, now that I'm owning LLCs and stuff like that. So I mean, that's even a different conversation. But just dropping them seeds to kind of start making me do more research. Like, all right, I can play this a little different at this stage in my life. So I mean,
I would say, if you're the smartest in the room, because if this room of 5 people, there will be one person with the most knowledge. Like, somebody is going to be the smartest. If you're not educating those other 4, if you're not trying to educate them, you're doing a disservice to yourself too. And that's why I feel like God really has put me here to, hey, something that might come easy to me doesn't come easy to the next person. So you explain it, break it down. And if you're not willing to give back, explain, and break down, I have no love for that. You know what I mean? I have no love for you, trying to hold it over or hanging around the same people because you want them to know you have something that they can't have.
It's a selfish posture.
Yeah, it's a very selfish posture, because as soon as you show them love, it's going to blow up to something. They might be hungrier than you. They just didn't have the knowledge. And it's going to open you up to make more bands later down the road.
That's real. Man, this whole conversation been dope, man. Like, so just, man, we've talked about real estate. You talked about like your journey from college to the corporate world. Like, what are some of the things that, for, the young man that's trying to decide, like, all right, where do I kind of fit in? Do I want to chase climbing up the corporate ladder from a 9-to-5 perspective, or maybe hop off and do some side ventures to where I can maybe own some real estate or stocks, or, I know FX is a big thing right now, to really kind of create other forms of income so they can leave the corporate world. Like, where do you lie with, number one, 9-to-5 versus entrepreneurship? And how has your 9 to 5 helped you in your entrepreneurial journey?
So I'll say this, and this is not what you should say because it's not correct, but I hate my 9 to 5. I hate the idea that you have to go to a 9 to 5 to make money. I hate the idea that you have to go to a 9 to 5 and this is the way. I hate the way we teach it.
Yep.
You know, from an elementary standpoint, we're talking about jobs.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, we never hint on the creativity aspect that this 5-year-old Ben was blessed with. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about, Ben, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor. You're 5. You know, you're 5. But I say that to say what that can turn into, and what I've seen that the 9 to 5 turn into versus the entrepreneurship. You learn traits at that 9 to 5. I became a better writer at my 9 to 5. Just from sending emails daily to directors and those kind of levels. My Excel skills have went through the roof for my 9 to 5. Excel is something. Hey, I appreciate it. Excel is something that I was very poor in, that you won't use in every business. But the thing, no matter what you're doing, whether you selling lotion or you selling bars of soap, it is quantities involved. It is addition. It is math. It is division, and it is manual work that has to be done. Excel is essential. You have to be able to track what you're doing, and not depend on somebody else to necessarily do it for you. Now, granted, you blow up, you get you an accountant, but if you don't know how those numbers work the same way as they do,
because you want to check your accountant.
Absolutely,
you got to check your accountants.
And I say all that too with the 9 to 5. I think the busiest thing, or the most thing I hear the most from 18 to 30, and I'm the same way. If I have a bad day at work, I'm like, man, forget this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out. I don't want to work here anyway. I'm applying.
I still do that.
I'm putting 10 applications out. They don't even know what I got planned, man. I already got an interview with Wells Fargo next week. And we're really into these thoughts. One, we're creating all these scenarios that maybe haven't even happened, right? Because we just had a bad day. And then 2, you know, we're so heavy to leave the 9 to 5 and jump into our entrepreneurships. And I asked some of my friends, like, hey, okay, if you leaving that 9 to 5 days, you having a bad day, what are you going to be doing tomorrow as an entrepreneur? Oh, I don't know. You know, it's like that 9 to 5 is so important to building that next piece. The thing about entrepreneurship, in most cases, 99.9% of the time, you need finances or you need experience.
That's real.
Okay. While you're getting finances and experience, you got to use that 9 to 5 to keep things afloat. You know, it's like everybody's thinking like, I'm gonna jump in to be an entrepreneur and I'm gonna start off in the green. When you start your business off and get an LLC, the first thing you're doing is paying the lawyer. You're automatically in the red. Automatically in the red. If you want to go buy a flip, you're paying $100,000 for a property and $50,000 for repairs. You are in the red, $150,000.
That's real.
And if that house burns down, something like that, you were staying in the red for $150,000, man. I mean, so you got to have things in. Have that 9 to 5 to lean on. But I think too, the 9 to 5 gives you structure. Everybody's different.
I agree with
and
that.
I'm being very transparent with me. I need structure. If I don't have structure and have too much free time, man, it goes back to old habits and old ways. So even during this time, it being quarantined, it's been hard because I've lost some of my structure of having to wake up, drop the kids off at daycare, go to downtown, leave downtown, come pick up my kids. Like, it's time where I could use it for extra stuff, or I could get myself in spending money. I could be doing on shopping. Wayfair stock is at all now, and now Amazon's through the roof because everybody's just ordering up.
And it's so easy to just hit the button as opposed to going down to Haverty's to look for furniture or what have you.
DoorDash, all of them are booming right now. So it's like, you know, it's just something to think about the 9 to 5 for structure. But I tell anybody, don't be so willing to jump out of your 9 to 5 or so encouraged or so rushed to do it, because a lot of the people who are jumping out of their 9 to 5 6 months later are coming back and knocking on that door. And that's not what Calvin Cleveland ever wants to do. I never want to leave and have to come back and knock on the door. I want to build that 9 to 5, no matter how I feel about it, as much as I can to set things up so I never have to go back, man, when I leave.
Man, now you hit it on the head, man. Like, one thing a 9 to 5 does for me, it's made me a way better time manager. Like, everyone knows what I'm doing from a side perspective. I have Pray Period. I have Boardroom Vision. I have some other things that I dip and dabble in. But I still use my 9 to 5. I don't let it use me, but I use it because it's made me a better time manager. So 9 to 5, I'm at work. I may do some other stuff in between, but 5 to 11, 5 to 12, that's me. I'm going. It's also made me more professional with my side stuff. And I say that because when I talk to people that are entrepreneurs that have not had that 9 to 5 experience, it can be really, really loose and sloppy, and just like customer service is not all the way on point. And it's because they just haven't had that structure.
No better.
Having to report to a direct and things having to be point and your performance being graded a certain way. Which again, these are all reasons we end up wanting to leave our 9 to 5, but it does put some values in you that you take with you. It's like, all right, you know what? If I'm gonna put a video out, I'm gonna make sure it's legit. You know what I mean? I want to, you know, not be I try not to be a perfectionist, but you can't help it because you want everything to be on point as much as possible.
And think about it, if you're used to building PowerPoints and building slides, presenting in front of people on something that you don't care about. What do you think it's going to look like on something that you actually care about?
Like, what, my name is attached to this?
I'm through the roof.
Yeah, that's
we're talking
real.
real estate and not banking. I am through the roof
That's
to come
real.
talk about it. And
That's
I
real.
want to look at how it sees. I want
That's
it to
real.
come off and build my brand with it. You're not building the brand of Bank of America. I'm not building the brand of Calvin Cleveland. I'm building Bank of America.
That's real.
You know, you're about building Benjamin Holmes, not
That's real.
nobody else.
That's real.
So, yeah, man.
Man, that's good convo, man. That's good convo. Man, we've talked real estate, 9 to 5. Like, man, I know we're getting close, man, and this has really been a good conversation. We're going to definitely have to bring you back, man.
I would love to come back. I would love to come back.
Because I know you got some other stuff coming down the pipeline as well, be able to introduce that. But I guess let's just switch gears totally, man. Like, what drives you at this point, man?
Oh, man. That's an easy answer. And, like, seriously, I don't, you know, I told God the other day, like, seriously, this ain't the saying this for the camera. I'm so happy and thankful for my kids, man. Because, like, when I had my son Legend, it just put an extra fire in me.
That's real.
Coming and feeling like I'm responsible for somebody else and how they move or what the education that they take on.
That's real.
And then it really gave me more of an importance of what my village and my parents did for me and, like, set things up.
That's real.
And then, too, I'm huge on this legacy thing. So what's really driving me right now is, like, I see my father watching us build a legacy, meaning me and my wife, and watching my son come up under that. And that just does something for him. You know what I mean? Like, it just really does something for him. And like, your dad just called you. It's like, man, you know, he's still excited to see you. Like, at least you are his legacy. You know, that really matters. And to me, at 32, then it's not about me anymore. It's been not about me. You know, it's really about the legacy I want to leave here. Even I'm don't want nothing to happen to me. But this is real. You know what I'm saying? And then 2, just making sure my kids just have every opportunity. Like, I want them to really own property before they know they own property. I want their credit scores to be through the roof, and they don't even know what a credit score is, and that's what happens. I think the cliche thing is to say is, well, you know, certain, you know, ethnicities or certain people have known about this stuff. That's an excuse. I mean, it might be true. But we have the education. It's time with this generation here. We have to put it into our next generation. We cannot say, well, our parents didn't teach us this. You know, it's like, look, we're giving, this is free game right here. You know, this is free game. Play it back and put your 5-year-old in front of the camera. You know, because I want my son to, you know, think he can flip a house at 5 and you know, not know any other way. So that's what's driving me, man. My family, my kids, my wife. My wife will kill me if it's like just kids. But I like making her happy, and she, you know, she puts a lot in for these kids while I'm gone. And so we just talked about that off camera.
For sure.
Finding a really good partner that takes care of all these things while you got all these business ideas. Because not only are they watching you do the business, but they got to deal with all the thoughts, the ups and downs that come with your business.
And help you filter through, right? You need someone you can bounce this stuff off of. Because it's like, as an entrepreneur, you got so much going through your head sometimes. It's like, hey, babe, what you think about this? And if you got a strong black woman, like you know, I know we do, they're going to give it to you real. And it may not be what you want to hear all the time. It's like, dang, yeah, you kind of right on that.
But it makes you want to come sharper too, Ben, because truth be told, you don't want to even hear it.
Yeah, that's
right. I don't want to get us in trouble with our wives on here, but you don't even want to hear it. So it's like, I'm just going to come with this next one. Wait till this next video. I don't want her to even say, oh, that part was blurry. Like, this is going to hit. And then they start feeling like, shoot, like, no matter what, they got the same last name as you, bro. Like, you're building their brand too. You're building their legacy too. If you're building a legacy for your kid, it's their child. So you know, you're really building it. And you see them kind of start tapping into, my wife's starting to really get into these flipping and the feedback and things like that. So it's great as it grows, man, as God continues to open that door.
Yeah, man. Like, one thing about me, I always say this, like, my daughter will know how to fill out an LLC document before she knows how to fill out an application. Like, that is huge for me. And not to say, you know, I don't want her to work a 9 to 5 at all. You know, if she wants to, you know, I'll support her, whatever she wants to do. But she will know, she'll have the information.
Absolutely.
And I'm big on that, right? Just making sure we give the information so that, you know, the people behind us, the young men that are watching this, they're able to make the decision that's going to impact them the most, man. Right? And I think that's what leadership is about. It's not forcing our views, forcing our thoughts on someone, thinking they're going to imitate what we do. Because we're not perfect, you know what I mean? I definitely know I'm not. I made so many mistakes, and that's part of the reason that, you know, I wanted to create this platform, is to help young men not make some of the same mistakes that I made. But at the same time, it's like, look, here's the information. You know what I mean? It's on you to do what you will with
Absolutely.
it. You know what I mean? So now my hands are clean. I told you it's a bump in that road. Now if you run right over it and flatten your tire.
And I think like, because what else can we do? What else can we do is put the information out there. And understanding too, to the young man who you're speaking to, it's a lot of people with the information who are not putting it out there, who want to see you fail, who would actually tell you misinformation so you can hit the bump.
Or just want to charge you for every little thing. Right? Like, this is free game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, like, you want to consult with me, like I charge for those services, and it's more that comes along with that, and that's the reason for it. But I do these videos for the love of the people, you know what I mean? For the love of the young men that could possibly benefit from it and be the next, you know, be that next guy. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So
they'll remember you. They'll remember. And this isn't even a plug, but I feel like I recently started my Instagram page, my business page. I have a page. You can find me at Cleve the Realtor, but I have.
We'll put it at the bottom here.
Beautiful. A business page _ Cleve Realty. That is really where my wife's been trying to push me for 4 or 5 years to do. Is to go in depth. That's why I'm really going into my flips. That's why I'm showing kind of the competition. I'm kind of showing skills, and this is free game. Like, I love that. I kind of like that saying. I'm gonna keep saying it. It's free game, because like that's what God has put on me to get back, and that's how I feel. I feel great. I feel so much better watching other people like prosper with it.
That's
I just did my last flip, and this isn't just cap. This ain't just talk. I did my last flip with my business partner of 10 years. He's been watching the flips. He's been wanting to get involved. And then I told him what he had to do, and he did it. So he ain't just been asking me, right, and not coming with it. He came with it. He called me and said, okay, I got the blah, blah, blah bands. Right. I have this responsibility, and I have this connect. Can we do it? And we're doing it. And
that's dope.
Just released it. It like was the funnest flip. Honestly, I'm not gonna make the most money in it. Just keeping it in the stack. But it's been the funnest flip by far. We've gotten the best product by far. Yeah. And it's because 2 minds were going into it, and we just be over there having a good time. You know what I mean? So you can really grow together and really build with your brothers and not tear each other apart, man. Just keep stacking it up. The crab in the bucket mentality stopped. It never even started with me, but I really I look down on it, man. Like, so with brothers like you who don't have that mentality, like, I'm trying to lift all of us up. If I do see it, it's like, man, nah, you got to go over there, man. I really do.
See, and you know, this is what I appreciate, man. Like, just being able as black men, you know what I mean, to lift each other up, tell each other how much we appreciate each other. You know what I mean? Like, Calvin knows I've talked to him online, offline, like, for years now, man. So, like, number one, I want to let you know on camera, I'm proud of you.
I appreciate
everything you're doing.
Appreciate it.
You know what I mean? Like, I try to be cognizant about, you know, the people that I'm interviewing, the people that, you know, I trust to come on and give something to the people. And definitely looking at the 7 key pillars, man, you hit all of those.
Oh, man.
Man, you're a great father, a great husband. And man, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Like, man, I'm super proud of you. And even as we talk about just like, you know, legacy, man, like, you know, we talk about our kids, things like that. Like, this year, man, we lost somebody who, you know, left their legacy on this planet, man. Kobe Bryant, you know what I mean? And this made me think just about my own mortality more. It's like, dang, you know, even with Chaz Bozeman, like, all these people, man, 2020 just been crazy.
And it probably had, I mean, I didn't even cut you off.
No, you good.
The fact you have a daughter.
Yeah, that's a fact.
That, oh my God.
Oh, that's a fact.
My wife's pregnant. My daughter was born in May, and you know, Kobe dies in January. But that, when I say shook, and I'm a Laker fan, like diehard Laker fan, Kobe's my second favorite player of all time. That like took basketball, took life, took all that away, and said, man, if I don't focus, you know, and lock in, and this, to be honest, his relationship with his daughters just was so dope to me. Man. I was like, but this
that's the other piece of it. Like, that's,
it's tough, it's not an emotional conversation.
No, it's tough, man, because like I don't know. For me, you know what I mean, I've been more cognizant this year, man. Like, my juices, like, I just, you know, I got a new smoothie over there, a juice machine.
I ain't there yet.
More cognizant about what I'm putting in my body, because the day I meet, you know, my maker, I want to at least be able to say, man, look, I did everything I could on my part. You know what I mean? And like, that's the energy I just want to walk with, the energy I want to follow, because I mean, you can't worry about the unexpected, the things that, you know, could happen. But I can worry about what I control. And you can worry about what you can control. You know what I mean? Like if certain things, if you feeling certain ways, or you always sick, like switch up your diet. You know what I mean? You might not need steak every other day. That all that red meat you can get clogged up, messed up your toxins. But I say all that to say, leave it all on the field, man. If you're not out here putting it all on the field, the same way with sports, your coach would say, if you go home and you can play basketball after this game, you ain't play hard enough. The same way here, man. Like when I get up out of here, I want to make sure I leave it all, bro.
And I've watched it, and I'll say this is kind of as like an exit strategy on my end, or not strategy, but like kind of an exit conversation. I've legit can speak on that since we're being real.
That's
like I've known you're dealing with somebody. I've known you for 15 years. I've watched that transition too. That transition, like Ben, is the reason I have my job I'm at currently at Bank of America. It was his old position, and just thought to even plug me in, right? And wasn't even thinking like on no competition or anything like that, because he got blessed. He's like, let me bless you. But I say that to say I've watched like biblically. Like I can tell you for a fact, and this ain't, you might never probably heard this from me, but like I've really gotten into church, like back into church. My dad's a pastor, you know what I'm saying? But I really back into church in the last 3 or 4 years. A lot of that had to do with me and you were like talking church. I mean, really talking church 3 or 4 years ago. It's like you took a stride. I was like, I'm cutting this out. Me and Ben went out. We're not going into details of the conversation, but not went out. We had brunch, and you said like, man, I ain't doing this. I ain't doing that. I left that conversation like, you know what? God's really working in that boy's life. You know what I'm saying? And like, what else could he be working in my life with? So I'm not nowhere near at where you are on the spiritual journey. But that's something I've watched from afar as a young guy, and I'm like, man, I'm looking up to that, and I keep working. That's why when I come over here, I was so excited to come today. I was like focused. I was like, man, God's putting this together. It's bigger than Ben. It's bigger than me. For sure. For sure. Me and Ben ran at each other at the juice shop. This is like 10 months ago, but we were thinking and talking, and then he comes up to me and he's like, hey man, what you want to do?
This is fruit from that.
This is the fruit. This is the fruit.
I forgot about
this is the fruit. We walked in, and I was listening to a YouTube podcast, and he's like, hey man, I want to do a podcast. I'm like, dude, how did we run into each other today? In the juice shop, my first time I ever went there. So, God be having this stuff, really planned out. And whenever I see it, I'm glad he opened up you as an example for me, because I'm 2 years younger than you. I've always looked up to you, just watch what this has turned into, and then to come back on your show, if you will, as this grows and be a part of it. It's just full circle.
Man, this is dope, bro. Yeah, man. Like, you ain't have to say that, but I'm truly humbled. I appreciate it, man. I hope, again, I lift you up as much as possible. Anything we can do to support, anything we can help. Everybody, man, first of all, you got to leave your tags, everything for the people to come follow you, because, like, hey, it's some stuff coming down the pipeline you guys want to be in tune for sure. Man,
I want to blow y'all's mind, man. I want to blow y'all's mind. So,
now, leave your stuff, man.
Oh, man. So, okay. Real estate, man. I can help you buy a house if you have any interest in buying a house, or if you just have questions, man. At Cleve the Realtor, that's CLEVETHEREALTOR. So at Cleve the Realtor, you can find me. And then I have my business page, which taps more into the flipping side. We've done parties in the past. We've had a clothing line. I just am starting to speak on some of those business experiences I've had over the last 10 years. And that page is at _CLEVEREALTY, Cleve Realty. The important thing that I'll point out to any young man or young woman out there, you see that both of those have my name in it, and I'm really trying to build that brand. It was told to me by a mentor years ago, continue to build your brand. It doesn't necessarily have to have Ben's big, but
I get it.
The names, the alignment, the look, everything needs to be aesthetically correct, and you watch it build, and people are going to start knowing you like, oh, that's Cal, that's Ben, so it's real. And then if they know that you're legit, they're gonna listen to this whole podcast because they want to hear it, So, those are the handles. Please follow me. I'm on Facebook under Calvin Odell Cleveland III. That's my government name. And look forward to helping out and really working with anybody I can who's touched by this video and or just who comes across my path, man. I'm really, really looking forward to doing a great 2020, 2021, as far as some things giving back. So, man, connect with me, tap in.
Y'all holler at them, Y'all know what it is. At the end of every episode, we end off, switch it up on a fun note with a top 7.
Top 7.
Okay. Today, since my man, he's a Kobe man, he's a Laker man, he repping the hat right now.
I got my Laker hat on.
We're gonna do a top 7 Lakers of all time. And this is interesting to me, considering the fact that they just won a championship
last week
with somebody that most Laker fans don't respect as much as I think they should. So I don't know. We go listen to him ring off his top 7 Lakers of all time.
And is this in order? It's just like I'm just ringing out a top 7.
You know what? Your preference.
There we go. I'm just gonna rip out a top 7. So I will say my favorite Laker of all time. The reason I'm a Laker fan is Shaq. That's my favorite player of all time. Not by performance or anything. He was such a dog, man.
I thought you were gonna say the Mamba actually. No, this is
so
already
as a kid, me and Mom had to grow together because when him and Shaq are beefing in 04, I'm 16.
For good reason. There was a lot of rumors.
Going on. Kobe did some snitching. I said, I'm gonna go this route, and I went to Miami. But anyway, I say Shaq is my number 1. Kobe's a quick 2 because after I got over it, like 2 or 3, I was so upset 'cause I thought we were gonna win these 10 championships as a kid.
I get it.
After I got over it, I realized that Kobe was trying to get Shaq to step up, but he just doesn't have the best communication in my standpoint. So I really started following him on, but he starts like really taking off. So by 2-3 years, Kobe's like my second. So Shaq, Kobe. I love Nick Van Exel. Don't think he's the best, but I mean, when I was a kid, Nick Van Exel was one of the coolest cats you could be, man.
Okay.
George Mikan, who's a center from back in the day.
Yo, he is ringing off some real Lakers guys.
These are real names. This is the 60s, 50s. When basketball first started, I used to just think he was the best person to ever touch a basketball back in the day. I would say Kareem, of course. I'm going to say Magic, who I've watched all these old documentaries. Magic was just the guy. And that wasn't just like on the court, off the court, he was the guy. Like a lot of people really liked him.
When it comes to looking at old eras versus the new eras, I try to evaluate if you can take them and drop them in today's game.
Yeah.
And Magic is one of those players that passed that test.
My goodness.
Like Dr. J, Magic Irvin, like you can take them from their era and drop them in that today's era, and they still get successful.
Same story. And then the last one will be Will Chamberlain, man. As a kid, I always remember him holding up the 100. That was like, I had that on a basketball card, and then I found out he was a Captain later in life. So
I didn't know that for real.
Yeah, man.
I did not know that.
He was the captain. You guys heard, but we didn't go those are my top 7, man. Those are my top 7. LA, man. Big time Laker fan. Shout out 2020 champions and RIP Kobe, man. Because I really that did a lot to me. And we've been able to take Kobe's passing and turn it into something. I have this Mamba mentality poster in my crib, just like
I do too. Actually.
Yeah, man. Like
crazy.
I gotta have it. I gotta have it. So yeah, man. But it's been a pleasure. It's been such a pleasure, dude. I can't wait.
My God, we in COVID right now, so it would be some dap or something, man. But like, first and foremost, I appreciate my boy. You know what I mean? And hey, man, I can't end any other way, man. So we just gonna say it like this, man. Thanks for tuning in to the Kickback.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Boardroom Vision. Stay tuned, because we got a couple more episodes we're gonna throw out there. I hope y'all can try to implement some of this into y'all life, though, man. Don't just gloss over them nuggets. You know what I mean? Because he came and blessed us with a lot today. So check out his stuff, and we'll see y'all in the next episode, man. Peace.
All right, man.